Hello children, Vidya Prakashan Mandir Private Limited is all ready with the term 2 syllabus from your books, Maxx Marks. You really benefited a lot from these books, and the term 2 syllabus is here with lot more initiatives and lot more material for your exams. To begin with, we start with the lesson The Rattrap from your book Flamingo. Now in this chapter, it's a very interesting story which has been told in the form of a fairy tale. The writer Selma Lagerlöf is a Swedish writer, and wherever in the story you would see the word, there have been certain Swedish words that have been used. There the O carries dots. So you have to remember to use them even in your answer sheet. See here, I'm just marking them out here. All right. Now, a little about the author. Selma Lagerlöf was a Swedish writer, and the stories have been translated into many languages. Now, this story, the story of Rattrap, has been set up in the mines of Sweden, which are rich in iron ore. The story is narrated in the form of a fairy tale, and it gives a message, and the message is that emotions of love and acceptance can reform others. The way the protagonist of the story, the rat-trap seller, is reformed by the goodness shown by the daughter of Iron Master, Edla Wilmanson. We begin with the story. Now this story, the Rattrap, started with a peddler. Peddler is the one who has no home, no family. So this fellow just walks and walks, and he sells rat traps. Those rat traps are prepared by him. Now the business of selling rat traps was not profitable, so he used to do two more things. And those two more things that he did along with selling rat traps was begging and petty thievery. So overall he did three things. He used to sell rat traps. The business was not profitable. So he did two more things. Which were those two more things? Begging and petty thievery. What is petty now? Petty is small. Now this man, this rat trap seller, because he was a poor man, so his cheeks were sunken, he was in old miserable clothing, and he plodded along the road selling rat traps. One day he came across a thought, a philosophy struck in his mind, and that philosophy was that the whole world was a big rat trap. And everything in it was a trap to lure people. Now, it offered there, it was set as a bait. Now, what is a bait? It's a key word. You need to know the word, and please ensure that you know the spellings also. Bait is something when we put on a hook in order to trap. So, here the bait was the whole world being a big rat trap. So for human beings, riches and joys, heat and clothing, food and shelter, they act as a bait. And the human beings keep circling around it. And when they try to catch it, the trap closes on them. So this was his philosophy. Whose philosophy? The rat trap seller's philosophy, the peddler. Peddler, rat trap seller, ragamuffin, vagabond, all is being referred to the same person. Now one day he came across an old cottage. As was a custom, he used to knock, ask for shelter and clothing. Now the owner of the shelter was a very lonely person. He was a lonely person. Now this man acted very differently from the others. He gave him shelter, he offered him supper, he offered him tobacco roll, and together they played card game Majorless. Now here again you will notice there are these two dots. That again you will have to remember them for your answers. So what did these two men do together? They played a game, they had supper, they together smoked tobacco, and then as the owner was an old man. He was a crofter who used to work in an iron mill. But now, due to the old age, he could not carry on the work. So his cow used to support him. Cow was a source of his livelihood. Every day he would sell the milk at the creamery, and last month he had got 30 kroner in payment, which he did show to this peddler. Now why did he show the money to him? Because when he told him that last month I got 30 kroner in payment, this chap seemed incredulous. So he went to the window. There was a leather pouch hanging. He removed the leather pouch, took out the money, showed the money to the peddler, put it back into the pouch, and hung the pouch back on the nail. Now next morning, both of them got up, and crofter had to go and milk the cow, and Rattrap seller thanked him and he left. But just half an hour later, the peddler returned. He went around the cottage, smashed the pane, and stole the money. Now he had crofter's 30 kroners in his pocket. Now he escaped into the woods because he had stolen money, so he thought it would be better if I go through the forest. Now he was trapped in the jungle. It was a big and confusing forest. He thought he would cross the forest, but that did not happen. All his efforts went in vain. And now this thought struck in his mind, and that thought was that gloom and despair. He thought, now my end has come. I have the stolen money in my pocket. That acted as a bait for me. Now this forest has closed on me. This forest has closed on me, and now my end has come. So he was so tired. He sank down. He sank down and felt that his end had come. Now when he was lying down, he heard regular thumping sound of hammer strokes. Now these hammer strokes were coming from an iron mill. He staggered, got up, and he moved in the direction of the iron mill. Now that was the very popular Ramsajo Iron Works. Now here again, because it's a Swedish word. Now it was a very large plant, and the master blacksmith with his helper was working over there. He entered the forge. Nobody noticed. And the reason why nobody noticed was because many big sounds of burning coal, sharp north wind hitting the tiled roof, and the rain, all these sounds, because of all these sounds, the blacksmith failed to notice the peddler, and the peddler had walked right in. Now, as usual, blacksmith didn't notice him. Now, the Rattrap seller just wanted to warm himself, spend the night, and leave as inconspicuously as possible without being noticed. The word inconspicuous means without being noticed. Now, when this man was sleeping, the iron master is the owner of this Ramsajo Iron Works. Now, this man, he was a very prominent personality and he wanted to supply good iron into the market. So, he used to come on his nightly rounds of inspection. Now, when he entered, he was different from blacksmith. He immediately realized that some unknown person is there in my mill, and he goes right up to him. He noticed a tall ragamuffin. He removed his hat. No, he was sleeping. He removed his hat just to check who he was, and then just misunderstood him, mistook him to be his old mate of the regiment, an old friend of the regiment. Now that he was misunderstood to be the old mate, to be the old regimental comrade, Rattrap seller is dazed. He's wondering, what should I do? I mean, he feels he is taking pity on me and is thinking I'm his old regimental comrade. Let him think. Probably he might give me a couple of coronas because he is taking pity on my condition. But what actually happened was, it was due to this greed he had shut his mouth and didn't clear the iron master's doubt, right? So do remember why he did not clear his doubt. The reason was greed. Then comes, he explained about his miserable condition. They started to communicate, and the iron master, instead of offering him coronas, invited him to his house. But the peddler said, no, I'll not go to your house. The reason was fear. But iron master thought probably he doesn't want to come to my house due to his miserable clothing. So he tried to clarify his doubt. He says, don't think I live in a very big house, whereas he did. He told him that his wife was dead, his sons were abroad, he stayed alone with his daughter, so he should come. But the peddler said no and no. The iron master left without taking his friend along with him. Then within half an hour, the iron master's daughter entered with a servant, and she was able to convince him. She invited him with so much of confidence that he agreed to go with her and persuaded the Rattrap seller to come home and celebrate Christmas Eve with them. The young girl looked at him compassionately in a friendly manner, which produced confidence in the heart of the peddler. So these are textual words which you will need to remember them. Why did he agree to go? She looked at him compassionately and invited him in a friendly manner that the peddler felt confidence in her, and he agreed to go with her. So now Rattrap seller accompanies Edla Wilmanson to their house to spend Christmas Eve. Now he got ready to go to the manor house in a carriage, just like in a rat trap. The iron master was happy and discussed with his daughter about the peddler and his condition. Both father and daughter, they're very happy to have the peddler with them, a friend with them, what they plan now, what father and daughter plan for rat trap seller, who is supposed to be their friend, they decide that first we will improve his health and then we will get him into something else, another business, something better for his livelihood. Now, this man was taken care of quite well at Iron Master's house. He was cleaned, he was dressed up, he was given a shave, and he was given Iron Master's good-looking suit. But now, when this man, who is supposed to be Iron Master's friend, when he comes down, Iron Master looks at him with puckered brow. Reason: it's because Iron Master in the broad daylight has recognized that he is not my friend. The rat trap seller said, you forced me and brought me here. Nothing has gone wrong. I'll change into my old clothes and I will leave. He says, no, you have cheated. You have cheated and I will call the sheriff. Now, when he talked about sheriff, here he got angry. He says, he thumped his wrist. He said, look, Iron Master, the whole world is a big rat trap. And one day you, Iron Master, you will run after a big bait. And then your world is going to come to a close, just like a trap. Now, this philosophy of rat trap seller was so amusing, it was so entertaining. He gave a loud, hearty laugh. He says, all right, I am not calling the sheriff, but leave my house. Now, when the peddler got up to leave the house, there was a sudden change in the scene here now. The seller moved towards a gate, and in the meantime, Edla Wilmanson, the Iron Master's daughter, she got up and she opposed her father. She requested him. She requested her father, now that he is not your friend, he is just an ordinary rat trap seller, let him spend Christmas with us. We've invited him. Whoever he is, he's never had a day of peace in his life, so let him spend Christmas with us. And she talked about the peddler's loneliness, she talked about his wandering and his poverty, and after all, he didn't come himself, but on an invitation. Her father mumbled in his beard and he said, I hope you don't have to regret. He says, you preach worse than a parson. So the daughter realized that my father has agreed. The breakfast was already ready. Now, peddler did not speak anything. He just had his food and then went on to sleep. Now, he slept till noon. They woke him up again for Christmas fair, but then he slept again. Later, when the Christmas tree was lighted, he was woken up once again. Now, after 2 hours, when he came for Christmas fish and porridge, the daughter told him that the suit which you are wearing of my father, you don't have to return it. You can keep it as a Christmas present. And next year, if you again wish to spend Christmas with us, you will be again welcome. So, next morning, father and daughter, they went to the church for Christmas service, while the rat trap seller was still sleeping. Now, what happened at the church when they had gone for Christmas service? There they came to know that one of our old crofter had been robbed by a rat trap seller. Now, when they returned at 10 o'clock, The young girl, Edla, she sat with her head hung. Why? Because it was she who had insisted and had requested her father to let him spend Christmas with them. And now they came to know that he was a thief. Now, Edla's father started to worry about his home's goods. He says, God knows how many silver spoons he must have stolen by the time we reach home. Now, when they reach home, the iron master inquired about the peddler, and he was informed that the peddler had gone away, but he did not take anything with him. Instead, he had left a little package for Miss Wilmanson. Now, when she looked at the package, she gave a cry of joy, because in that package there was a small rat trap, 3 wrinkled 10-kroner notes, and a letter written for Edla. Now, in this letter, he thanks Edla for treating him like a real captain. So he thanked her for her kind act for him and making him realize his mistake. It was a Christmas present from the peddler to a lady representing friendship. He wrote a letter signing as Captain Von Stahl, who was the old comrade of the Iron Master, for whom he doubted the peddler. Now, he had signed as a captain because he had behaved like a captain. He did not allow Edla to be embarrassed by a thief. So, he wanted her to return the money to the old man who had hung his pouch at a place where he could get tempting for any poor peddler. So, we coming back to the theme, the rat trap seller has been reformed by the kind attitude of Edla Wilmanson. So, with this, we come to this is the summary of the lesson, the rat trap. And now, after the summary, we have extracts, standalone questions, short questions, long questions. Everything has been very elaborately planned by Maxx, and it is so systematically organized that when you will go through these books, you will find them to be of great help. You go through your textbooks, take the Maxx, and you will be greatly benefited by them, and I'm so very sure. Take care.